Northern Cement's crowning PBA moment came in the 1985 Reinforced Conference. This was NCC's last preparation before setting out for the ABC Men's Tournament later in the year. Most of the members came from the 1985 Open Conference, returned with the 12-man lineup of Coach Jacobs. The only omissions were naturalized player Chip Engelland, Benji Gutierrez, and Jun Tan. Replacing them were future PBA stars Jericho Diniera and Pido Harencio, as well as another future PBA player in Alfie Almario.
Pinasok nga si Jericho Diniera, a young center from UE, Jericho Diniera, Pido Harencio from UST. And then si Alfie Almario binalik sa lineup. Now, Alfie Almario was the star of the 1982 youth team out of Lasal. Anong impact nilang tatlo? Truthfully, wala masyado. Then, no, Jericho Diniera and Pido Harencio became understudies. No? Their experience being part of the NCC squad made Pido Harencio a better player, made Jericho Diniera a better player.
Going to Jericho Diniera.
NCC finished fourth in the elimination round and went through the quarterfinals where they met Magnolia, Great Taste, and Tanduay. The Nationals topped the quarters with a 96 record and landed a semis berth against Great Taste, a team looking to clinch the Grand Slam. There, two other teams in Manila Beer and Ginebra San Miguel awaited. In the semifinals, Manila Beer went on to clinch the first finals ticket thanks to a 4-2 record. To get into the championship round, the NCC had to battle a Great Taste squad searching for its own piece of history, as both teams finished with identical 3-3 records in the Final Four. Fortunately, NCC prevailed in the knockout match.
Kumarin will have a lot more difficulty coping with his counterpart as Dennis Still misses off-brand-wise. Jeffrey Moore, how did he get that into the hole?
What followed was perhaps the most lopsided final series in league history.
The action continues, a let-go situation here. Alan Kaitik going up against a double team. Jeffrey Moore has perfect access to the bucket.
In the best-of-7 finals, NCC swept Manila Beer in 4 games and won by an average of 25.5 points per game.
Open shot taken by Albion.
NCC became just the second guest team to win the title. The 4-0 sweep in the PBA finals was also the very first in PBA history.
We toughened up because of the international tournament. We were able to compete talaga, wala nang intimidation. But I guess when we won the first 2 games, parang, nothing against Beer House. And parang sila, they just went through the process na lang talaga. 2 down na sila, 3 down na. So it's so hard for them to compete na rin siguro. Maybe they want to go on a break or what, but that's the way I look at it during the time.
Well, Ginebra was ready to play, and Tani was complaining why
We also have to remember that this was a particular tournament when the Never Say Die game of Ginebra came about. Okay, that was on October 22, 1985, when Ginebra faced NCC, which Ginebra won 99-96. That was so memorable, but it does not dampen yung major accomplishment ng NCC team na to, because you know for a fact that they weren't there naman talaga to win the championship. They were there to gain the experience, to make sure that they are in shape, in other words, no? Pero anong nangyari, because andun may pagkakataon na sila manalo ng championship.
Less than 2 weeks later, the team went on to win gold in the 1985 Southeast Asian Games. NCC also captured an all-important gold in the ABC Men's Championship, beating South Korea and China on its way to an unbeaten 6-game run. As a result, NCC was able to qualify for the 1986 World Basketball Championship in Madrid the following year. NCC, however, would not get to play in Spain.
Nanghihinayan ako, yes, major, yan. Why? Because we could have played in the 1986 World Cup in Spain, because we won the ABC tournament in 1985. We were representing rather Asia in the World Cup that was to be held in Spain. And it was a good gauge for us whether how far or how good that national team was. Many people were saying that maybe baka kapusin lang yan along the way. Ako personally, I felt that may chance tayo that we could have probably ended up in the top 16 or maybe at best the top 8. Given the circumstances and given the kind of preparation, given how ready this team was to play in the international arena with all the international exposures that they had and with the PBA exposure that they had, from the country's perspective, it was a major loss. No, why? Because that program was designed to make sure that it will run even all the way up to the 90s. At that time, wala pang tayong hint noon na magkakaroon ng open basketball where professional players will be allowed to play in the FIBA sanctioned tournaments.
Most of the NCC program's members went on to have distinguished PBA careers. Some of the most notable include Alan Kaidik, Hector Calma, and Samboy Lim, who were later named to the PBA Hall of Fame. Jerry Codeniera and Ricardo Brown were named to the 25 greatest players list. Al Solis and Pido Jarencio became some of the most feared shooters of their time. Jongy Chico, Franz Mamarin, and Frankie Lim became champion coaches in the PBA, UWAP, and the NCAA. Naturalized player Chip Engelland is now a famed shot doctor and a longtime assistant coach of Greg Popovich of the San Antonio Spurs.
Maraming naiwan ng NCC program eh. First of all, there's a system na pinasok. The training methods of Coach Ron were very new. It was very different. Kung dati pa-jogging-jogging lang yung mga player, konting papawis, tapos scrimmage na. Ngayon, all of a sudden, there was the importance of stretching muna, may mga weight training, iba yung mga drills nila. That was institutionalized already. A lot of coaches came out from that and started following that. Naging scientific yung approach sa basketball.
Swings away to the middle, jumps up.
We were ahead of our time, in fairness to us, in fairness to the idea of Mr. Kuangkon. We were ahead of our time. In Europe, they were slowly adapting na yung naturalized. But tayo nag-adapt tayo. Hindi pa sana yung Asian yun, kaya nagulat eh. Kaya that was the first test case in Asia. So winning the ABC 86-85 edition for us was a vindication that all of those years na hard work namin, nakuha rin namin.
The NCC blueprint is also very similar to the current system used by Gilas Pilipinas. The present Gilas training pool consists of amateur stars and young PBA draftees who may end up representing the Philippines at some point in the future.
If we can hold this team in the next, kahit 2 years lang siguro, maganda to for Philippines. Kasi talent of Filipino players, at par tayo with the Europeans, with the Americans. Pero we're not that great na to assemble a team sa short span na kumagaya ginagawa ng NBA or even European teams. Kulang tayo sa height and everything. So we have to prepare in a different manner. Just like us when we were playing during our time with the national team, there's certain preparation that you need to do. Hindi naman madali yan.
The NCC program was able to prove that. They did not have the best players in the country back then. No, but the thing is, since they were together for so long, they practiced together for so long and gained international and local exposure as a result and were handled well by a very, very solid and good coach in Ron Jacobs. They eventually became the best ball club in the Philippines as proof positive of their winning 1985 PBA Reinforced Crown. That made them the best Philippine basketball ball club back then. I think it's the same nature as today. You try to form that particular Gilas team today, they probably won't be able to beat SMB or TNT at this point. But in 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, don't be surprised. Baka mangyari, tinatalo na nila yung mga SMB, yung mga Magnolia, yung mga Ginebra teams, even with imports.